Hi everyone, so I'm David Edwards. I'm the founder of a company called ChainThat. ChainThat's 3 years old now, and we've been focused on creating solutions based on blockchain for commercial and specialty insurance and reinsurance for the last 3 years. So our approach has been to develop first, identify the problem first, build the solution to it, and then take it to market. So over the last few years, we've been building a lot of solutions. So I'm going to demonstrate one of these to you today, but our kind of product portfolio, we've tried to go across the entire value chain, looking to eliminate frictional costs, which then lead to new business models. So we've started with placement, with contract, endorsement, renewals. We've then gone on to the underwriting in terms of the technical and financial accounting. We've also then moved that into the settlement phase, so whether that's a direct settlement or whether that's netting on a bilateral or multilateral basis. And then to support that, obviously, the shop front of insurance, we've done the claims, so we can support claims from first notification of loss, managing claim movements through their life cycle, and linking that back in to the settlement, and also linking it back to the contract so you can understand the loss runs and you can understand your reinstatements and so on. We've also looked at facility operations, so managing facilities, setting up programs, and how you may manage capacity with MGAs. And off the back of all of this, we get the tax and regulatory reporting. So what we're going to do today is just give you a very quick demo of three parts of this. So we're going to do a bit on claims, we're going to do a bit on accounting and settlement, and we'll do a little bit on the technical accounting as well. So just to give you a background to set the scene here, we've got various actors that we're going to use. So we're going to simulate a broker. We've got Stephen and Hanan, who are part of the broking community. We're going to simulate an insured client as well, and we've got a marketplace. This one we're going to simulate Lloyd's, which is going to be a leader-follower type market. And we also have a settlement bank in here. We also have another market, so we can support multiple markets. So that can be. Oh, it's still up there, so it disappeared from in front of me. So we can support multiple markets, and we can also support third parties coming into this scenario. So just to give for the more technical people there who's interested, this is the kind of the network setup. So this is going to be post-placement, so we're going to ingest data from a contract, digitize it, validate it, and then we're going to generate technical and financial accounts off that, and then we're going to look at the claim process between them. We're also going to show you that this is a coordination platform, so we're coordinating data and process. So therefore, we see that we'll be integrating into existing systems, but to be able to demonstrate this to you, we need a user interface. So we're just going to quickly show you as well how you can integrate into something like Salesforce, but we're using this interface so we can actually bring it to life for you. So what we're going to do now is switch to the live demo, and Vikas here is going to go through the demonstration, and I'll just talk over it as we go. So we're just going to open up. We've got the various nodes, so we're just going to log on first of all. So Vikas is going to log on to Stephen, who's the placement broker. So this is just a dashboard view of what you can see today. And this is just giving an overview of the network. So this is just looking at the Cohorda network, the business network, and the parties that are available on this. But if we're just going to switch to the risk dashboard, these are the actual risks that we have in the system already and their current status. We can have a look. We support multi-section contracts, and it covers things like the market share, so you can actually see who's involved in this particular contract. And you can see, how much, what their percentages are and so on. We also collect all the information like the premium by location, so we can do all the tax calculations. But what we're going to start is we're just going to simulate the ingestion of a new risk contract. So we've just got a simulator here from a solution called RiskWire, and this is just going to simulate the ingestion of a new risk into the system. So we're just going to place this single section risk into the solution. It says a multi-section risk. So if we switch back to the broker's display now, we'll see a new contract start to appear. So new contracts come in, we're gathering all the sections. So this is showing the integration with legacy. It doesn't have to be a smart contract to start with. We're actually generating a smart contract off the back of it. And we can see we've got various sections coming in. There's 4 sections. We can now see a new contract being created, and we've validated this, and we can actually say we have enough information to generate the technical accounts. So as a broker, we can go in, we can look at the technical accounts, and we can see we've generated 3 technical accounts for their market share on this. So we're just going to leave that contract now. So that's just showing you that we can ingest data from external systems into the network. So now what we're going to do is start with the claim. Now with the claim, we're actually going to do this from an insured point of view. So we're looking back, get this information that we're capturing, what UCI see, the transparency. we're giving it back to the client. So this is through a portal, but what we've got here is showing them the policies they've got there, and what we can do is actually raise a claim against this. So we've got some basic policy information, and what we're going to do is raise a new claim. So we're going to do an FNOL, we're just going to ask for some basic information, and we're going to select the section, and it's just a simple wizard to help the claimant do their first notification loss. So we're going to do an earthquake. We're gathering information from the contract itself at this point, so by the location, it's only going to support locations that are supported on your contract. And we're setting the loss period, we can add some loss details on there. So what's going to happen once we've entered this information, we're going to generate a new claim contract related to the risk contract that we have. And this is then going to go into the system, so all the parties involved will be notified of this first notification of loss, and the claimant can actually see the state of what's happening within this. So we're just going to switch now to the carrier, so the lead carrier on this particular contract. Yep, so here we can see on the claims dashboard, it's highlighted red saying there's a new claim come in. So if we go into here, we can see on the left, you can see the claim details, some of the contract information. On the right, we've got the financial information. There's no financial information as of yet. But we can also see, if we scroll down just slightly, we can see we've got a claim system too there. Now this is just showing that we've integrated with Salesforce at this point, and that is actually a Salesforce reference. So we can switch to Salesforce, and we could actually now do all of the claim movements and acknowledgements through Salesforce if we wanted. So Vikas is just going to show you in Salesforce that this is real. We've got a Salesforce solution, and we've got someone skateboarding. That's very nice. We're just going to show you there, we've got this new one in. If we click onto there, we can actually see the details from what we had in the ledger are now reflected into your internal system. So it's the coordination platform. So if we switch back to the lead carrier, we'll do everything through the existing interface here. What we're going to do is just, this supports London market processes, and it supports what's known as single claim agreement process. So it's a single claim agreement party. But what we're going to do here is show that this is a multiple claim. So we're just going to move it out of the SCAP process. So at the moment, if the leader agrees, everyone else would agree. But what we're going to do now is move it out of SCAP, and we're going to move it into non-SCAP, and we're going to have to assign another agreement party on this claim. So we give the reason, and we're just going to select another party that's on the network. So once that's been done, we're just then going to go in and acknowledge this claim as well. So this is just so that we can give an update to the client that we're actually doing something with the claim. So we've got down here the claim movement threads. We're just going to do a quick acknowledgement. There we go. So it's being acknowledged. We're constantly updating the status of this claim, and we can reflect that back to the customer as well. Now, if we go down and look at the claim, we've got the concept of these claim threads. You can see the agreement parties there as well. We're just highlighting, who needs to agree this claim when we actually put some more information in. So we're just going to look at the claim threads now. And this just means instead of having a single thread of trying to manage the claim, we can have multiple threads, which allows us to share information discreetly with multiple parties. So we could appoint a third party. So what we could do is add a loss adjuster into the scenario. We need to appoint a loss adjuster on here. So we're asking the loss adjuster, can you do a report? Now, just with the thinking of time, we won't go through the whole loss adjustment process. What we'll do is we'll assume that the loss adjuster wants to find some more information out. We need a picture of what actually this claim is all about. So this is now allowing the carrier to communicate directly back with the insured through the broker. All the time the broker is getting to see this information as well. So we're just going to raise a query now. So we're just going to raise a query to the insured. We're going to ask the insured to add some information about this particular claim. So we'll ask them to upload a new photo. So once that query has been raised, that will then the insured will be notified. So we'll switch to the insured view, and we can see it's gone into the queried state. If we look at the messages that have come through, we can see that we've now got a request to upload a photo. So now we're just going to attach some information here. So we're going to find a picture on here, and we're going to assume they've taken a photo, and we're going to bring that information in, and that's then going to be shared with all the parties that are involved with this claim. So we have a single claim record. So once we've uploaded the claim, we can just respond to the query as well, just to say, I've uploaded this. So we just say, all good. So there's going to be a very quick claim process, but it supports, you can imagine the complexities of the back and forth that happens as well. The blue things you see coming in are just the events that are happening, so that's notifying systems that states have changed and things have happened. So we're building up the history there as we go. So now we can see this photo. They can download it as the leader. So can all the followers as well. So can the broker. You can see the picture there that we've added on. So the next part here, we're just going to keep it simple. We've got the photo. We're going to assume we've got the adjuster's report, and we're just going to now add the claim amount. So we're just going to go in as a lead, and we're going to update this, and we're going to put in an amount. How much we're going to do? It's £250,000. So that is going to be the claim amount. So we're just going to agree this. So we now have this updated. We'll go back in and we're just going to approve this claim amount. So if we just go in and click agree payment. Now what's happening, we've done a sanction check. So we're doing the sanction check against this. It's calling the HMRC database just to check against the company name. We're doing that once, and then we can see we've got what's going to be the settlement information. So we can see we've actually got a deductible in there. So it's actually going to be a claim of 200,000. So we're going to submit this now. And we can now see that we've actually agreed to play this claim. So we've got part agreement, because I mentioned we added a second party on this. So we're going to switch over to the other party now, which is one of the followers. I think this is going to be Zoe. There you can see on Zoe's screen, she's seen all the events coming in there. But she can go into the claim, seeing the same information, and she should be able to agree as well. So is Zoe the correct one? Oh, so what's happened is it's gone back to SCAP now. So it's gone back to a SCAP process because it was under the limit for some reason. It's gone back to SCAP. So you can see that you can do the agreement. Everyone's getting updated as we go. So now what we can actually do is just have a look in there and just see the history of what's gone on this claim. So if you just go into the audit history, here we can see every step that's happened throughout the life cycle of this claim. So you can see who did what when, the sanction checks, when things were agreed, and so on. So what we're going to do now is just go into the settlement phase. So we've already got a premium in there. There's a slight bug for whatever Vikas has done. So we're just going to go into look at the settlement side of things. So we're going to go into the bankers node now. So here we can actually see we can actually do some settlement. So we've got some requests that have come in for this. So what we're going to do is actually. So what's happened, the financial accounts have been generated, the financial accounts have come through, they want to be included in the next settlement run. So we're assuming we've got a central settlement organisation in this case. So we're going to run a settlement, so we're just going to simulate this now. Okay, so we're going to run the settlement. And what we should then start to see is that these will go into to the awaiting payment status. So all of these financial accounts are now in the awaiting payment status. We can now go and look at the the technical accounts as from the broker's view, and they can see the state of those. Now, if we switch back to the bank, we can actually now make the payment. So we can see that this is awaiting payment. Now you can see that we actually had 6 financial transactions. The ones without a UCR, which is a unique claim reference, they're the premiums. So we can actually see now we've done some bilateral netting against this, and we actually need to make 3 payments. If you scroll up a little bit there, Vikas, you can see we're actually going to make 3 payments that will cover all of these financial transactions, and we can then make the payment. So that's been paid. All of these are going into the paid status. And if we go back and look at the contracts, we can now see that the contracts have been settled, and we can see that the claim has been settled as well now. So that was just a very quick overview of a claim solution, showing what you can be achieved on blockchain. There's no centralized system involved in this. This is on a peer-to-peer basis, run on top of Corda. Thank you very much, Vikas. If we could switch back to the slides, please. So... So what I also want to talk about today is about partnerships, but why partnerships are important. But before we kind of look at partnerships themselves, we need to look at the users of the system. So it's the brokers, the carriers, the reinsurers of the world, the MGAs, whoever's using the system. Why is it important to have partnerships? Well, it's about adoption for them. How do we drive adoption for you, the people out here in the audience today? How do we get you on board to use this system to feel efficiencies and put ourselves in your place? So obviously there's lots of providers out there. We've got the B3i consortium going on, there's RiskBlock going on with the institutes in North America, we've got EY Maersk solution happening, obviously there's the amazing ChainThat solutions as well. Where do you go? Who are you going to work with? And then obviously there's technology choices. Now we've seen, from Corda today, but there's literally hundreds of different blockchain platforms out there. So it's like, how do I know which technology platform am I going to use? You're always going to be limited with resources as well. So you've got limited resources internally. How many people can I assign to a project to do this? And then there's always, I've got my legacy systems and I've got to integrate. That's going to be a big headache. I know that change is going to be hard. And then we have to be able to align this with our business priorities. Now, I think anyone that's worked in the insurance industry has tried to do a change project. I don't know if you've ever seen the EDS video from the early 2000s, but what they said, we build planes in the sky. And that's what it feels like when you're doing a change project while the business is trying to still keep running. You're trying to build that plane in the sky. So you're taking off wings, putting new wings on while it's still flying. It's a hard and complex thing to do. There's always the cost element that's going to come into this as well. How much is this going to cost me? How much is this going to save me? What's the regulator going to say? How's this going to impact my regulations? What my compliance team is going to do? And then there's actually the people that, that are actually going to make this decision, say, we're going to come on board. Am I going to be a hero or am I going to be a villain? Is this going to be a success? Is it going to be good for my career? Or am I actually, if I go into this and it goes wrong, is anyone ever going to trust me again? So we have to take those kind of considerations into account to try and drive adoption. So it's that red or blue pill type thing. So you just sit back and watch, see what happens, or do you commit and then you risk of making the wrong choice? So the strengths of partnerships is that we want to try and help you with those problems. So if you don't want the silos building up. So we want to try and make it an easier choice. So, for example, if you have the B3i network and the other networks out there, wouldn't it be good if there was a partnership between them so that if you commit to one, you can still use the facilities on the other one? So you want to lower your risk, so that you're not making the wrong choice. Now, what's been really interesting in the insurance blockchain industry is Corda. So after the last few years, we've seen all of the large consortiums and projects move on to Corda. Most of them all started like we did on a different blockchain platform. But what this has given us is a foundation at the technology level that we can actually start to look at partnering together with these different companies because we're using the same technology, and that was a big step forward. If we don't partner together, then we're going to have different standards as well. So if everyone wants to have a common standard as much as possible. But if we have individual standards, then the interoperability between these projects is going to be very hard. So we've got what we heard earlier about the Accord announcement. They've set this up. They've got B3i on board. They've got RiskBlock on board, trying to create standards for blockchain going forward. Now, what I find that makes a good partner is someone that's willing, I think, as this conference is all about, it's about learning. And you need to be able to learn with partners. This is all new. This is new to the industry. How do we actually learn about how we can work together? So there's got to be lots of testing and experimentation going on between the various, potentially competing organizations to see how we can make it best for the, the end users of these systems. So my kind of vision of the way these things should work. So the fact that we have Corda, there's a thing called a compatibility zone. What we could have potentially is a huge compatibility zone now of different solutions. And the way that I see the industry going forward is that some people might say we may have a global network for reinsurance, but my kind of vision is we're going to have hubs. So there's going to be hubs all over the world, and these are most likely to be driven by regulation. So we may have a Bermuda hub. We may have a London hub, we may have a Singapore hub, but we need these to be able to interoperate with each other. We need to be able to move risk between the hubs, between the regulatory issues, between each jurisdiction as well. So we start to do that. So the business network is going to be key. And I've just seen that I'm actually overrunning. So we're also, by having these hubs, using this compatibility zone, building business networks that we talked about earlier, we want to link into finance and payments as well. So we need to get once the finance world is sorted out, real money or IOUs on the ledger, we want to incorporate that into the insurance world as well. So the business networks are going to help bring this together. So I'd like to make a little announcement now as well. So this is, I think this is an industry first as well. So over the last month, ChainThat and B3i have actually started and now completed our first phase of testing. And this is just to prove that ChainThat applications that some that you've seen today, and other ones that we have, can coexist on the B3i network and run alongside. So if you've got a node on the B3i network, it's now we think it's possible that you could run ChainThat applications on that same node. So you don't have to have multiple ledgers going forward. So this kind of lays the groundwork now for potential future phases of integration and leading to potential partnerships between ChainThat and B3i. Now I'd just like to invite Marcus up so I don't grab the limelight, so he can just kind of give his thoughts on this testing that we've been doing.
Thank you, Dave. Okay. Thank you. Also a little bit history. We met 3 years ago, 2015, at the first Ethereum developer conference, and we both went through this journey, adopting, learning about different technology platforms, making it usable for the insurance industry. And now being on the stage with you, it's a great relief. It's not only B3i who have to solve all the difficult problems. We can work with partners. We don't have to develop everything on our own in B3i. There are smart and clever people out there that help us solving those problems and bringing benefit to the industry. So this is really great, and that with Corda we have the right technology in place to make this vision of partnerships and an ecosystem happen. So this was really great experience working with your team, distributed team in the UK, in India, B3i in Zurich and Munich. So this works, and this is great to see. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll just go straight to questions,
okay.
If we may. So if you've got anything coming up yet on the...
We had a question that we wanted to send in regard of...
the poll.
Yeah, the poll. So we could do that, or either we can jump...
We can do that very quickly. We'll just
Shall we do that? Okay,
have a quick look at the poll.
Please look at your phones, and there's this question in regard to should disruption be triggered by startups or established players? And we will ask you to elaborate your answer once again. Does that surprise you?
I think that's what I'd think as well. I think it's very hard for the incumbents to disrupt themselves, but I think it's the working together with the startups. So the incumbents working with the startups, just like B3i is a startup in its own right. It's working with the large insurers and reinsurers and brokers, and they potentially are going to disrupt themselves going forward in 5-10 years' time.
I think with B3i you can have best of both worlds. Yeah.
We have best of both worlds, yeah. Yes. Yeah. Okay, I think let's see if there's any questions that come through, or if any questions from the floor. I'll throw this at somebody if you're willing to be brave enough to put your head above the parapet. Waleed.
Or you can just send it safely from the phone.
Or send it through if you've got any questions, or maybe people are a bit hungry. Okay, 1 or 2. Who is Vic? Oh, who is Vikas?
Who is Vic?
All right.
I can answer.
It's that bloke over there.
So Vikas is
stand up, Vikas. Yeah.
Vikas is a co-founder of ChainThat. He's our chief operating officer, who skillfully did that demonstration. And I put quite a lot of demand when I do live demos, and trying to keep up with what I'm saying is quite hard. So we got just a quick round of applause for Vikas would be great. Thanks, Vikas.
So some people have Alexa, some people have Siri, ChainThat have Vikas.
Yes.
There you go. Is this live? Well, if you're here and you're watching it, then it's live.
Well, that was a live demo, so that was really happening, if that's what I mean. If you mean whether you're in production yet, we're currently in pilot phase, so we're planning to be in production very soon with some of our solutions that we have on facilities. The accounting and settlement side and the claims one, it's a much bigger play going forward, but we would expect probably by April next year we'll see this into production.
Got a live question from Regis.
Yes, David, thanks for this presentation. What you have developed and presented is quite impressive. What about the placing part?
Yes, so we have a placing platform. It follows the Accord placing process. So we can do the quoting, the negotiation between the parties. We can do signing down, binding, document generation. So the idea is that we can generate the contract. Now, because we have this entire value chain, we know that for someone just to adopt everything is quite a big leap. It's trying to change is hard. But we've sectionizing it out, so we've got modules. You can use one module independently. So ideally, we would like people to start at placement so that you can actually create a digital contract from day one, capture all the information digitally, and use it downstream. So we have a complete placement platform as well.